Afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Meet the Candidates conversation. I'm Allison Mazie, CEO of the NAA. I will be moderating our discussion today. And this is a great opportunity to hear directly from the members who are seeking election to our NAA Board of Directors and the Office of Vice President. And our goal isn't to hold a debate or put anyone on the spot. We simply want to give our members a chance to get to know the candidates a little better, hear about their experiences, learn what inspired them to serve, and how they think about the future of the NAA and the auction industry. So we'll start with introductions, spend some time in conversation with each of the candidates and some round robin questions, and then leave time at the end for Q&A. So we're a smaller group today. If you think of questions, you can put them in the chat, which I'll refer to later. Or if you want to talk on camera during that section, feel free to do that as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And I am going to start with asking our candidate for VP T. Kyle to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, your involvement with the NAA, and what inspired you to put your name forward for this position.
Thank you very much. I seem like I really don't need to introduce myself because I know most of you, but I'm Kyle Swicegood. I'm from Mocksville, North Carolina, a small town just west of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which is kind of the center of the state. I own the Swicegood Group, auctions and real estate. I began that business in 2009. In 2009, I was a conventional real estate broker for 2 decades, and I was caught up in a significant recession, and I needed to figure out a way to make a living. And I was encouraged to go to auction school. I went to Repert School of Auctioneering, and that began my career. Dennis Cruz, past president, one of the first things he told, and strike that, one of the last things he told me, the last day of class, I asked him the question. I said, give me a couple things I can do to make a successful career out of the auction business. And without a doubt, without hesitation, he said, join the NAA. I took him up on that advice, and I joined, and I was at the first convention. I don't believe I've only missed but one convention since that time. And NAA has been a game changer for our company. I am a first generation auctioneer, as I just stated. I have created a second generation auctioneer twice over with my children. Both my daughter and my son are auctioneers at CAI graduates, and they have picked up the mantle to become the next tradition in the Swicegood Group. But that's about I've been better say something about my wife. I'm married to Elizabeth Swicegood, who is also a broker and an auctioneer, NAA member. And it's going to be a great time in San Antonio because she is a Texan. So we're excited to come down to Texas, celebrate the NAA with you guys.
Thank you to Kyle. And now we will go in alphabetical order by last name for our board candidates. So Naomi, that means it's your turn.
Good afternoon. My name is Naomi Lewis. I'm a first generation auctioneer from Hampton, Virginia. I entered the auction industry as my encore career. I did training and development for the Army for about 20 years as a contractor. And after I raised my daughter and got her through college, I was looking for something that I could be more passionate about. And so I entered the auction industry as a benefit auctioneer. And for me, it opened my eyes really to the world of auctioneering. You know, I saw it as an opportunity to help nonprofits. But since then, I've done some personal property, and I'm also a real estate agent and sell real estate by auction. And when I was in auction school, of course, they said join the NAA, and I did, and they did not allow me to sit on the sidelines at all. I was in auction school in September, women in the auction industry in November. Since then, I've served on task force. I've been the cornerstone chair for community for the past 2 years, and I've just seen the value that getting off the sidelines, getting engaged, and helping our members to be engaged and looking out not just for my interest, but for the interest of the industry helps to move us all forward. And I love the work that I've been doing over the past actually the past decade because I became involved immediately. And I just want to have the opportunity to earn your vote, to continue to do the work, to engage our members, and to get the public more aware of who we are, and to make sure that all auctioneers know that this association is there and available to help them advance their careers.
Thank you, Naomi. Braden?
Absolutely. My audio's on. Perfect. Thanks everybody for the opportunity to visit here today. I'm Braden McCurdy, Wichita, Kansas. I'm technically a third generation auctioneer and have born and raised in the business and grew up, starting out with cleaning out houses to graphics and design and marketing and bid calling. I've done every facet of the industry. And in 2016, became leader and CEO and broker of McCurdy Real Estate and Auction. Currently serving as NAA director through the leadership position of the Promotion Cornerstone Chair. Had previously served on the advocacy committee as well, and been, I would say, I'm 40. I'll be 40. I'll be 46 in July. I think I've been to about 35 conference and shows. So I've been seeing a lot with ENA over the years. But the one thing that I would note that I'd say I'm pretty passionate about, one idea in particular, is growing the auction method. It being genuinely a first choice solution. I really think the best years of our profession are still ahead of us, especially with some of the changes that we're seeing from a technological perspective. Education, no doubt, we keep pushing and advancing with advocacy and just good governance as we've continued to make a lot of changes with the NAA here this last couple of years. So, if I'm elected, I'll certainly continue to serve, with being prepared, serving with integrity, being a good steward of the association and where we're at from a governance structure, and being committed to all the members here within the association.
Thank you, Braden. JT?
Thank you. First off, I'd like to thank Naomi and Braden for what they're doing in their previous service, and look forward to serving with you guys. Guys, my name's JT Rowell. I hail from the thriving metropolis of Moultrie, Georgia. I am a fourth generation auctioneer. My story's a lot like Braden. We grew up cleaning out houses, putting up tents, and selling farms at auction. In my tenure, I have, started off at the bottom of our company and worked all the way up. I like to say in a family business, you start at the bottom and boy, you claw your way to the top, and then you claw to stay on top. So since 2018, I've been the CEO of Rowell Auctions. Since then, I've got over 16 years of service for the Georgia Auctioneers Association. I've served in every seat you can serve there, and most of them multiple times. This year I was honored to be a third generation Georgia Hall of Fame member to sit alongside my father and grandfather. So I have in 2023, became executive director, one of the executive directors of Martinet Alliance, which gives me the opportunity to travel the nation, speaking at different conferences, meeting different members. I've seen Allison 3 or 4 times this year, and just trying to understand what the members want out of the NAA. I really think that's huge, that we listen and we provide member value. I've been an NAA member for 16 years. I've served on the website committee. I've served on the real estate committee. One thing I understand with being blessed to grow up in this business is, your last name may open your doors for you, but trust, work ethic, service, and results keep you in the room. And just to be quite honest, that's what I bring to the table. Guys, moving forward, I really appreciate being here. I appreciate everything Allison and Morgan have done to make this a smooth process, and I look forward to earning your vote.
Thank you, JT. So now we're going to move into our round robin phase. We'll stay in the same order. And we have a bucket of questions, so you might hear the same one a couple of times. And I'm going to try to get to 2 questions per person, and we'll see where we're at, ensuring we leave the last 10 minutes of this call for Q&A from our attendees, and we don't plan to go past 1 p.m. Central here. So, T. Kyle, what inspired you to pursue the office of Vice President, and why do you believe now is the right time for you to serve in that role?
It goes back to CAI, and some of you will know where the grand piano is. It goes into a garden area. Jason Winter came up to me and he said, "Kyle, have you ever considered leadership?" And at the time, I was basically fresh, new in the association, but it planted a seed. And that's where I left from there and was on the EI trustees as chair later on, and then became on the CAI committee and would chair that as well. And that's really what inspired me to get into the leadership. Why is the time right now? As we age, we mature, and both from a business standpoint and from a personality standpoint. And I believe that the experience I've had serving on committees, being a director, it's the time now for me to position myself to run as vice president.
Great. Thank you, too, Kyle. All right, Naomi, what qualities do you believe make someone an effective board member?
What qualities create
Oh, sorry, too, Kyle. This one's for Naomi.
I'm sorry.
What qualities make someone a good board member? I think the first thing is to be able to listen and to really hear and understand what is being discussed and brought to you from the members, as well as what's happening in the boardroom. And to be able to question your own process. Because sometimes we enter into a room and we think we know the answers. And I think you have to be able to sit in a room, bring your ideas to the table, and step back and question what you're doing. In addition, I think trust, stewardship, and knowing that you are being entrusted by your members to be a good steward for them as well as for the organization.
Thank you. So, Braden, now we're over to you. The board is responsible for helping the long-term direction of the association. What do you believe is one area has an opportunity to grow or improve over the next 7 years?
I'm not sure about you guys, but I couldn't get that audio.
Me either.
Okay.
I was trying to read your lips, Allison.
Can you hear me now?
You can now.
Okay, I'm gonna kind of shout. Now I have to remember what question I asked you. Okay. The board is responsible for helping guide the long-term direction of the association. What do you believe is one area where NAA has an opportunity to grow or improve over the next several years?
Oh my. I think the biggest opportunity right now folds into 2 main things. I think the first thing is we have to continue to position the NAA, specifically auctioneers, as a first choice solution. And that I so believe in. I champion that every single day in my line of business here. You know, people get our business backwards. Sometimes they think it's a last resort method, and continuing to position us as that first choice solution, I think is so, so, so important. I think with that, we are seeing rapid change with the technology aspect. So if we fast forward and you say, okay, what helped position us for growth? Advancing and making auctioneers win, but through the use of technology. And if we look in the rearview mirror and we say, okay, how have we done that? Adopting the technology to continue to advance us, because the business is, you can look at it as a threat from a technological perspective, or you can adopt it, embrace it, bring it into what you use every single day, and it's going to help us position the auctioneers to win in that first choice solution.
Thank you, Braden. All right, JT.
Yes, ma'am.
NAA serves members from many different business models, specialties, and career stages. How do you think the board can continue ensuring the association remains valuable and relevant for all members?
Thank you. You know, for the association to remain valuable to all members, I believe we need to continue to strengthen the trust between the board and the membership. We do that with clear communication, real member values, a stronger connection with state associations and working auctioneers. Practical resources that can help members grow and protect their business. Bottom line is we've got to make our members appreciated. And I think once they're appreciated, once we continue to make them appreciated, the value will always be there.
Thank you, JT. All right, T. Kyle, we're back to you. When you think about NAA 5 years from now, what would success look like to you?
Growth, without a doubt. I was speaking with someone about an hour or two ago about the future of the NAA because of the population demographics that we have. We recently had some giants in our community pass away, and that age bracket has got to be replaced with a new age bracket. What's going to look like success in the next 5 years is going to be membership recruitment and participation from those. We don't just want to get people to join so they can get an invoice in the mailbox. We want them to join so they can participate, so they can join in the community, so they can get education, so they can possibly fill in leadership roles in the future. So growth is going to be what I see 5 years looks like as success, growth in membership.
Thank you, T. Kyle. Okay, so we're back over to Naomi. If elected, what perspective or experience do you hope to bring to the board discussions?
I think one of the benefits of me being in the boardroom is that I don't come from the auction industry, so I bring a breadth of knowledge from other areas. Having served as an instructional systems designer, I bring an education lens. Having been a contractor, I bring that lens. As a project manager, and in the IT world, I bring those two perspectives. So as we're discussing items in the boardroom, I'm able to bring a cross-sector lens to the room.
All right, Braden. Board service often means considering different viewpoints before making a decision.
Every time. These are trick questions.
I really am randomizing these. How do you approach situations where people don't immediately agree?
I ask a lot of questions. I like to understand what the perspectives are and try to make an educated decision. And what you can do is by asking questions, you can get somebody thinking differently. And so I really have found that to be valuable. And sometimes people will be like, okay, why is he asking that question? But it helps lead to the better result, I feel like, at the end of the day.
Right. We're just flying through these. I think we might have time to go do 3 each, so we might do one more after this. Okay, so JT, looking ahead, what do you believe is one of the greatest opportunities facing the auction industry, and what role should NAA play in helping members prepare for it?
So the greatest opportunity I see in the auction business and how we can help NAA members prepare for it. I think we've done some of that with the AI and preparing for technology in the future. That's probably the biggest thing. I would say the auction business has changed more in the last 5 years than it has the previous 40. And NAA helping us stay ahead of that curve is going to be huge moving forward. While we can't pay attention to just innovation alone. Innovation is what pushes us forward. However, if you focus on innovation, you forget about tradition sometimes. And that tradition is what builds the trust. It's the glue that holds us together. And I think NAA positions us better to move forward, to move the curve just by keeping us in front of technology, remembering that traditions are there. Let's pay attention to where we've come from so we don't repeat past mistakes. But let's embrace technology and move forward.
All right. Thank you. Okay, T. Kyle. If you could accomplish one thing during your leadership journey with NAA, what would it be?
I hate to repeat from the last question, but in light of decline in membership, it would be membership growth. What's that percentage? I'm not prepared in this setting to disclose that, but if I could accomplish anything, it would be growth in membership. And growth in membership is going to come, and maintenance of membership is going to come with programs that are sustainable, programs that benefit the executive auctioneers of the world and the ring people of the world and the bid callers of the world and the owners of the world. We have a diverse membership, and we've got to have food for each of those segments to have a sustaining membership growth.
Thank you. All right, Naomi. If you could encourage every NAA member to take advantage of one NAA resource, what would it be?
Hands down, I would say education. We have so much education available through the Auction Institute, through designation academies, through the summits that we do and provide for the different areas of education, conference, and show. So hands down, I would say it's education. And when they engage in the educational experiences, outside of just the education they gain from the instructors, they gain relationships that just will allow them to transform their business. So I would say to participate in the education.
Braden. What's one trend in the auction industry that every auction professional should be paying attention to right now?
I think the largest trend has been kind of the revolution that we have seen in this industry in the last 5 years. There's two ways to look at this. One is, wow, everything changed. A lot of bid calling went to online managed by computers, but it also opened up a whole new avenue for us to reach buyers and sellers where buyers and sellers are at. And if you really look at what we do every single day, part of our mission is connecting a buyer and a seller. And as much as I absolutely love and was born and raised doing that on the front lawn of properties, we've seen a lot of that shift to online. And what that's done is taken it from a marketplace of who attends at a certain date and time on a live auction to a global landscape. And so I think that has created some massive opportunity. There's still ways to effectively integrate the bid calling aspect of it, to provide entertainment, to bridge connections, to create real emotion through sometimes online connections. But I think the adoption of the tech is probably one of the biggest things.
Thank you, Braden. JT,
What?
what's one leadership lesson you've learned that still guides you today?
So I will tell you, it's trust, and most folks have seen me and seen Maggie right trailing behind me. Maggie's my dog, and one of the first things I hear people say is, boy, she's really well behaved. She does well. She sits through meetings. She travels through airports. She's steady in the middle of motion. You know, is what I see there, and it goes right back to trust. She trusts me to be consistent with her. She trusts to know that I'm gonna lead her in the right place. She knows that I'm going to protect her. She knows that I'm going to communicate with her, and she knows that I'm not going to put her in a bad situation. I believe trust it goes back to the relationship between NAA board members and the memberships. Members need to see that consistency. They need to hear the clear communication. They need to know their concerns are respected, and members need to know their board is steady enough to lead and humble enough to listen.
Thank you. Well, I must have thought you all would be more long-winded. So I thought this would take us till 12:45. So we're just scooting right along. So I'm going to pause and ask all of you, our attendees on the call, to go ahead, unmute, or put into the chat any questions that you would like to ask our candidates. It can be one question directed to all, or it can be to one individual in particular. Anyone?
I have a question, Allison.
Great.
So at the NAA, we are fairly dependent with regards to budget on our educational events like conference and show. I'd love to hear from the board members. How do you see us becoming more resilient and providing a value to members beyond that, beyond the education, which I completely agree with, beyond conference and show, which I haven't missed one since I started becoming active in the association. But how do we create value for our members beyond that, such that we are not as dependent budgetarily on those things?
All right, let's go in the same order. So we can start with T. Kyle.
Yeah, Peter, great question. And it reminds me of that song, Deep and Wide. I don't know if that resonates with you. That's a deep and wide question. Community, as I have begun my run for vice president, I keep going back. For me, of the four cornerstones, the most important for me is really what was the beginning for me, which is community. I would have never, not necessarily gone through all of the education had I not found community in the NAA. I mean, last week alone, I was in Wisconsin. Why was I in Wisconsin? Because I met a gentleman who is in the NAA who I admire, and I wanted to learn from him outside of our education that we provide. That's a question that I would love to tell you. I've got an answer in my pocket, but that's a question that is a challenge to answer. And I believe that we need to create community opportunities that are affordable. Education, our education is somewhat affordable, but there are some people that are not willing to make that investment. And we've got to, as members, bring them into the community to let them see the value. Had I not gone to CAI, I would have never gone to GPPA. I would have never gone to AARE. I would have never gone to CAI Next. I would have never gone to Conference and Show. And why did I do all that? Because I learned value and I gained community, and I knew that my community was going to be there and show up. And that's how I learned. So I really didn't answer your question, but I'm telling you that I think the board, the current board, hears your question, and it is a continuous conversation among the board members.
All right. Naomi, anything to add?
I would just say that, considering some of the budgetary constraints, one of the things that we can do is make the Auction Institute education more accessible. We have a lot of education that's there, but knowing how to get to it is a challenge. So if I'm a new member and I come in and I go to the Auction Institute and we have hundreds of courses, where do I even start? So perhaps there is a survey that they can take in advance that then recommends a path within the Auction Institute. Here is a course on how to set up your auction. Here's a course on how to do a fund of need. Here's a course on how to prospect. But you can take those courses that are there and then tag them so that based on where somebody is within their journey, it directs them to courses that are more applicable to them. If it's someone who's more advanced, they may be looking for, interpersonal skills, some advanced auctioneering techniques. But I think there's some things that we can do to make the online learning more accessible to our members.
Thank you, Naomi. And we've gotten a couple of questions in the chat. So I'm going to read the next one and give it to Braden first, and then JT. So for years, our education has been auctioneers teaching auctioneers. Do you believe that model has reached its limit? And how would you actively push to bring in outside subject matter experts?
I love this question. I think we need the right balance of both. Um, there is no doubt that auctioneers um, teaching others is super valuable. The in the trenches is so valuable. I mean, it's the 2 points that T. Kyle and Naomi just touched on. T. Kyle saying community, and Naomi saying let's boost the online, the accessibility of it. The community aspect is huge, but there's certain times where the out of market or out of industry speaker, especially when it comes into running a business, thinking strategically in marketing, thinking strategically in finance, operating a business as each member in essence is their own CEO. And they have the opportunity to run their businesses and grow it to what they're capable of. And we've got to bring some of those outside resources in to speak to it. Quite frankly, I think the last 2, 3, 4 years, as we've navigated some financial transitions, change in leadership of some of our staff, selling the building, those are all real things that have maybe hit pause on some of the outside speakers. I'm energized and optimistic that we can bring some powerhouse speakers in. We do get it at opening session. We do get it a few places, but we used to get it a ton at CAI. Part of the reason why CAI was on campus was for that reason, was we were utilizing the instructors that were teaching high level business courses at IU campus. And so I'm eager to see some of that come back, and still continue to balance our seasoned practitioners that can be teachers in the industry as well. I think it takes both.
Thank you, Braden. And JT, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this question as well, and let me know if you need me to restate the question.
Thanks. I think Braden hit the nail on the head. Quite honestly, Josh, I absolutely think we need more industry professionals. As Braden said, that's where CAI started. That's why it was at IU campus. I think the draw to more to industry professionals is quite simple. It's quite simply they're not scared to share all their techniques. They don't feel like they're training their competition. So while it is necessary for us to have our industry professionals teaching let's be honest, due to cost. I really believe that we need to come back to that, come back to the expert teaching the class, and I'd work hard to bring that back as well.
Thank you. All right, and Nancy has posted our last question in the chat, and so I'll read it, and then anyone who wants to take it, please do, since it's our last one. For many years, there have been questions about public relations and advertising that promotes the auction industry to the general public. Much of our communication has occurred within the auction industry. What will you do to promote the use of the auction method of marketing to the public? And this one's up for grabs.
I'll go ahead and address that. And in the magazine, I talked about that, the interview questions that were asked. And I really think most of us are old enough to know about the Milk It Does the Body Good campaign, and that's what I referenced, where they spoke to two audiences. And I think we really have to do that as an association, that we have to speak to the auctioneer, that we're an indispensable resource for them. We help to grow their business, and that's how we grow membership within the organization. But we also have to speak to the public to let them know that an auction is a deliberate, strategic choice. It is not a last resort, and to show and demonstrate the value of auctions. And we really need a campaign that can speak to both of those audiences. So wholeheartedly, I agree. I run into too many auctioneers that don't know about the NAA, And I run into too many people who, and it doesn't matter if they're a high school student or a senior, and I'm an auctioneer, they're like, oh my gosh, this is the first time in my life I ever met an auctioneer. So we have to figure out how to get the advertising out there so that people know who we are. We're not a last resort.
We have gotten a couple of other questions. I'll read the next one is from Greg. How do we maintain the live auction method in an ever-changing world that uses the online methods more and more? With the inclusion of the next gen young people, how do we ensure that they will have the opportunity to showcase their talent with live bid opportunities?
Greg, I'll start out by answering that question. My journey as an auctioneer, I went to auction school, and I believed coming out of school that I was going to be a live bid calling real estate auctioneer. And the journey shifted a little bit, and I was brought about in the middle of the technology change, and our company became primarily an online only auction company. Now, put your seatbelt on. It's okay. We have come around. We are now doing all of our real estate simulcast and taking advantage of the live bid chant. And I'm a firm believer. Some of my closest friends in this organization are world champions. We need to foster that talent in every capacity. However, we do need to recognize that online auctions and live auctions are brothers and sisters. They're going to be that. That's not changing. Just like AI has changed the way we handle a lot of our communication. That's not changing. We can't go backward. But what we can do is encourage IC participation and encourage companies that are online only to consider doing what we're doing, and that's in particular auctions, do simulcast auctions. We've done 3 in the last 3 weeks, and I'm very proud of what we've been able to do. We went from online only to a hybrid blend of both.
Thanks to you, Kyle.
Greg, thank you for that question. I would like to jump in there too, Allison.
Yeah.
Greg, I'm going to agree with T. Kyle. I think that the live auction method, I think there's a place for both methods, live and online. I think both of them will always be there. However, I do agree that what Justin Kennedy is doing with the FFA is huge for keeping the online method available. Are the live crowd available in the forefront. Justin, when he started Oklahoma a couple of years ago, I remember there was maybe 25 kids. When you go now, that is a full day contest. There'll be, good gosh, 40 kids competing in 3 different contests. It's absolutely amazing what Justin has done, and to watch it catch all the way across the United States.
All right. Braden?
This next question too from Jake, I don't know, they really dovetail in together nicely, but it's all about how do we get the energy of the youth involved. I think the first thing is look at where we're at right now for this conference and show upcoming. IJAC, the number of students or the number of youth that have entered for that, I think it's record setting. I'd be curious to know, but I'd be shocked if this wasn't record setting. And so I think the main thing is how do we harness that energy, that passion, that fire? I think number one, us as the maybe seasoned professionals in the industry have a duty and a calling. That's partly why I'm running, is how do we instill more energy for the next gen to continue to grow into this profession? But how we do that is we've got to develop those roles. And that's us utilizing our education, growing our companies, building these positions for these people to come in and learn and grow alongside us. And the more we blaze the trail of auction being a first choice solution, we're going to have more opportunity for more youth to grow into this business. We see this in our internship program internally. Every semester, we have several interns. We rotate them every semester. And there are a lot of youth that are fascinated by this kind of old trade, but we're making it innovative with today's technology, and we're making it innovative with how we approach our live auctions. And I think that as an industry, we need to do a better job of preaching the value of how an auction can benefit. The youth are seeing it, they're signing up for it. Now we got to make room for them.
Thank you, Braden. And we are at 27 registered competitors for our IJAC competition, and the cutoff is 29. I've been told that's as many as we can fit into the run of show there. So I don't know if that's a record, but it might be. To the rest of the candidates, does anyone else want to speak to Jake's question in the chat about FFA and IJAC before we start wrapping up, or any of the other questions that maybe you weren't able to address? All right, well, then I will move forward with our closing question. And we'll go in our same order. So to Kyle, first to you. As members think about this election, what's one thing you'd like them to know about you that perhaps they wouldn't see on a resume or candidate bio?
Personal.
Mhm.
I'm going to have to think about that. What would I want them to know that they do not know about me?
Yeah.
I'm a servant by heart. I am in my office. I believe in servant leadership. I believe that God gave us 2 ears and one mouth, and it's important to use those to listen. There was a question earlier about conflict. There will be conflict. There always is when you have a boardroom of people and they don't always agree. And I want to say I'm gifted, but God has given me the ability to sit in the same room with someone who I may completely disagree with and leave shaking hands and having a trajectory going forward that will not affect relationship. That's what I want people to know about my leadership style. And all of us have our own persona through Facebook, that people kind of know us by the happy pictures that we face of ourselves, post of ourselves. But my goal is to be a humble, independent leader that can get along with a board and push this organization forward into the future.
Thanks to Kyle. Naomi, how about you? Let me know if you need me to repeat the question.
Let me have you repeat it.
All right. As members think about this election, what's one thing you'd like them to know about you that perhaps they wouldn't see on a resume or candidate bio?
One thing that they wouldn't see on a resume or candidate bio is that service is just part of who I am. When I become involved in an organization, serving others is just part of who I am, and that I would endeavor to have their voices heard at the table, that I have an open door, and that when I'm sitting in the boardroom, that it's no longer about me, it's about what's best for the whole, for the organization and for the membership. And so that being a good steward of your concerns in the boardroom and the organization to move it forward.
Thank you. Braden, what's something people wouldn't see on a resume or candidate bio?
I think that one thing is I'm kind of naturally a builder. I like to build kind of organizations or visualize and kind of visionary things. I like to build systems. I like to build technology. I like to build relationships, partnerships, and I like to see people thrive. And so getting that opportunity or that environment for that opportunity, I think is part of what I'd say good leadership looks like. And it's something that is fulfilling, I'd say to me, is creating that environment where people can step up and thrive. And so, I've seen that with Realtor Association leadership positions that I've served in. I've seen that in our own company. I've seen that with just people personally around our organization and friends, things of that nature. So I like building, and that's something that I don't think you necessarily always see on a resume.
Thank you, Braden. JT?
Let me get you to repeat it one more time.
All right, not a problem. As members think about this election, what's one thing you'd like them to know about you that perhaps they wouldn't see on a resume or candidate bio?
So what I'd like them to know about me that they wouldn't see on that resume or that candidate file would just go back to trust and loyalty. Guys, at the end of the day, that's what we're all built on trust. I'm a very big relationship person. I lead with relationships. A lot like what Braden says, T. Kyle said earlier, there's not a table that I can't get up from where we start adversarial and wind up being friends. And I think that's huge. We have to be able to talk through issues and get up from the table and be able to hug each other's neck. As Naomi said, we're trying to create the greater good. At the end of the day, our business is built on trust. Our sellers trust us with our assets, our buyers trust us with a process, and our members should be able to trust us, trust their association in the same way our clients do. Guys, if elected, I'll work to be accessible. I'll promise you I'll be honest, no matter the situation. I work to be steady, and I work to be worthy of the trust the membership places in the board of directors.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you to all of our candidates for your willingness to serve and for sharing your time with us today. Serving on the NAA board is an important commitment, and I appreciate each one of you stepping forward. And also thank you to our members who joined us today. We encourage you to take part in the election process that will happen during conference and show in San Antonio. So in order to vote, all you need to do is scan our QR code and have up-to-date paid member registration dues. You must be an up-to-date member of the NAA. And you'll be hearing more from our candidates during our general session at conference and show. So until then, I hope to see most of you in 2 weeks from now in San Antonio, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.